So here you can see that this regulator here, which comes from the CO2 cylinder, is set to exactly 1.4 bars. And this regulator here, which comes from the nitrogen cylinder, is also reading exactly 1.4 bars. And right now we have the gas mixer showing a stable CO2 at 3% and air at 20.8%. So I'm going to adjust the %, and you will see what happens. You can see that the CO2 level has dropped to 1%, and the oxygen has dropped to 3.5%. This is frankly unacceptable because the severity of the hypoxia that the cells would be experiencing would be far more extreme than what we wish to impose. In addition, the cells are also hypocapnic, so they would be experiencing a relative intracellular alkalosis, which would further affect our ability to have faith in any data that would come out of this experiment. CO2 is recovered, and actually it's overshooting just a little bit, whereas the O2 is slowly returning to 10%. It's been now at least a minute. CO2 continues to rise to 4%, so now these cells would now be experiencing a respiratory acidosis. The CO2 levels would be very high, and we did not even touch the CO2 channel, but just altering and changing the set point on the oxygen has had destabilizing effects on the CO2 channel. The O2 continues to approach 10%, but the CO2 is actually farther off of its correct setting than the oxygen is at this point, and we did not even touch the CO2 setting. So if we were recording from live cells right now, we would consider this experiment to be a total wash. So we're basically at 10% oxygen now, but we're still well above 3% on the CO2 side.